Okay, so we're going to do a recap for 2025 on the current state of the Wargame Red Dragon installer. There is a Discord, the W:/RD Sandbox Mod Discord, download links, and Mr. Griffin here is the current developer of the Sandbox Mod. I occasionally have chats with him, and we've been having a chat whether he'll come on to the channel to talk about this version, and we'll see how that goes. But there is a Discord where he maintains links to the current installer and where you can ask questions, get support, and so on. I call it beta here, but it's not. It's the current release version, and you can use a previous version of the Sandbox mod, so you can run this direct without reverting back standard, but you can choose to just do a verify files and take the game back to the base build as on Steam and then run the installer. And we're going to do that now. So I'll just run the installer and I'll
Don't be too proud of this technological terror you
changes. So you'll have a DOS box that opens up with this, and there's no auto location finding for the installation folders, so you'll have to find them. Right, now before I go any further, I'm actually going to stop here for a second because the location of your armies, let's go find that information. The location of your armies is as per this. Let's make sure we get all this detail and put it on the screen. Copy that. Notepad. So what you've got to do is look for this directory, C programs, exit Steam, user data. Now your number will differ, your Steam ID will differ. And then it's the remote directory. And it's this file here, the profile.wargame profile. Back that up, make a copy of it before you run the installer. If you've got modified armies, then you may not want to lose them or have them affected. So make sure you back that up before you run through the installer. I'm going to leave it here so you can pause the video to make a note of that. Okay, and onwards. The installer runs. Now, these are the settings. I'm going to try and give a quick overview of the settings and what I recommend that you set. But if you have friends, so if there's a group of you that regularly play, you can choose someone to do the master install, and then they will get a code at the end of the installer, which this will show you. And when you enter that code, rather than doing the checkbox, the installer will take a set of settings that are consistent and use those so that you and your friends have the same settings. And that way, when you do install the game, everyone must be on the same setup and the same settings, or you get desyncs going on. So if I was the first of 10 people, I do the installation. At the end, I get a code, and then the next 9 can enter the code in here rather than choosing all the settings. When they do that, they'll be then able to install using a standard setup for all 10 people. So more starting points, more income points, more time options, 10v10, naval maps, and I don't bother with that last item there. Every deck gets 900 points. 15 slots per category. Make all veterancy units available. Every unit has 9999, and no units are prototypes. If you don't check this, certain units are not available to you. So I'd rather have all the units available. In our games, we don't get involved in heavy logistic games. We just say all the fobs and all the units have unlimited supply. I'm going to go with ground units reload and refuel faster unchecked. Planes reload and refuel faster unchecked. All units have a 1 second spawn time. Let's see. Are there any other items in there? Nope, I think that's it. So now why is that not letting me install? What's going on? Oh, we got bugs going on here. Okay, hang on a second. Let's kill this then. Let's run it as admin. Perhaps that's the glitch.
Don't be too proud of.
Okay. That's the folder. Next. Mod is local mod and most update. Okay, let's try. More starting points, more income, more time, 10v10, naval. Every deck gets 900 activation points, 15 slots. Make all units veterancy. Every unit has that, and no units are prototypes. All fobs. No faster refueling. All units have a 1 second spawn time. Yep. Let's see. I don't think we do any others there, so let's go with that. So once you're running the installer, it's going to modify and patch your game. And as I said, you can do the vanilla game, which will take it to the Sandbox mod, or you can take a relatively recent Sandbox game and upgrade it to this latest version and run it direct. You don't need to clear it down. The only thing I will say is whenever you do something with Wargame, go find that profile list um, back up and make a copy of it so that you can get your armies, your decks back, because you don't want to lose that. The Sandbox mod used to have some options where everything got changed to blue 4, but that's gone away. And it also used to have the ability to have um, players being an expanded player like this with all the extras, or um, a standard player like the normal game where you get restricted down to the number of units that you can have. I had an idea at one point where we'd have one player on each side who was a player who had all the expansion, but he self limits to supply units and like territorial units and things like that. And then the other players who have a more restricted army get to specialize and have the nice units. So they're like breakthrough units that play more strategically. That never worked out so well. We never got enough people to play that, but the game changed anyway in Sandbox Mod. Those smaller armies kind of cease to be. Mr. Griff has threatened that he might bring it back, um, but this is where we are in 2025. I'm working on Mr. Griff to see if I can get him on an interview so that um, we can have a chat about things. If any of you are watching and you have any questions and you don't go to the Discord, feel free to put the question below the video and then I'll put it to him to answer the questions that you guys may have. He's still working on the mod, but it's percolating slowly. So, and this is some of the final steps taking place now. And I've now got my installation complete. As you can see here, it's generated a code 52. So if I had 9 other players who wanted to play with me with Sandbox, I can give them 52 at that point I showed you at the beginning, where you can choose to just put the code in. And if they put 52 in, they get the same settings as I've got. And then when we play, there should be no desyncs. So this is a nice friendly method of groups of people who want to play together, and just make one person the master, get them to install, generate the code, and then the rest of you can just input that code where I showed you, and the installer will just go off and use the same settings, and then all of you have the same game rules that make sure that you're not going to get desynced. Now, I do think that there is I believe in the Discord there is a bug that's been spotted. So let's just go find, where are you? There is where is it? Suggestions, no, back, get up, back, find the game, suggestions, general. So, this guy, Keb, who's playing with the thing, I think he was suggesting that when they change the speed of the ground units, that it's causing, um, yeah, they're getting issues when they choose slower ground units. So my advice is don't change the speed of the ground units in any way in any of the checkboxes for now until that gets fixed. And again, the Discord, if you search for the Discord, um, or ask in chat for a link to the Discord, I'll put it in there. W:/RD Sandbox Mod is the name of the server if you search for it. So the install's complete. Close the installer and um, just run it as you normally would. Now, you'd normally get, if you're using the vanilla version, you'll normally get the Sandbox mod showing up at this point. Yeah, this is the point at which, if this shows up here, then normally the game is running. And if you haven't seen the Sandbox mod before, then what you get now when you build your decks, I've probably lost all, let's see, have I lost all my stuff? No. So, although it doesn't show 15 here, you get 15 blocks. So if I create a deck, you'll see what I mean here. I'll do a British Marine deck. So, you also get all the veterancy options. And each of these you get 9,999, apart from the fobs. So what you'll see here is I'll do the last one, but I can still keep picking. So I get up to 15. We're going off the page. You don't see them unless you delete some of the previous ones, but there are basically 15 slots available rather than the 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 is the standard, but then you have these unseen ones up to 15 in each of the areas. and I think we've done 15 there because the options have gone away. So I won't go any further. I'll just say that you can build pretty large decks with very numerous amounts in the forces. And then in the game options, when you choose to start a game, you'll do create. Obviously, you're probably wanting to do large scale game. Don't make them public because Sandbox is not standard, so you need it private really. Otherwise, if people join from public and they have the standard game, you get desyncs. So choose private, and then you get these additional options over the standard game where you can just arrange for a much larger scale battle to take place, and the income differences are way larger in the game. Standard game I always found was pretty limited, so this allows you really to take the base game and just expand it up into a way that is far larger. Some of the core things in the game, like the ships, are still pretty much what they were. Ships are pretty broken in the game, not really a good part of the game. And that's really it. That's the 2025 update on where the Sandbox mod is and the installer. If you want to get rid of the Sandbox mod, you can just tell Steam to verify the game files, and it will then zap the game back to the standard game. But do remember that before you do that, save your decks using the profile list file, make a copy of it so you've got that. And I would say when you're making some changes to the game, whether it be other mods or the standard game, always make certain backups of that profile list, because then perhaps you can back up your standard game profile list and you can also back up your sandbox version of the profile list. I don't think I've got anything to add at this point about that. Um, Perhaps I can run to a demo of a game here if I just do the Red 4 Sledgehammer against myself, and we'll choose the ridiculous amount, and I'll give myself a CPU just to help here. Who have I got? Got America set up, so let's do that, and I'll give these guys um, a standard division. Let's get into it. Let's launch. This will be fairly hectic, I think, with that amount of income. And oh, nice. Didn't like it. Anyway, not to worry. Um, that's it. Thanks. Bye.